So hello and welcome. Oh, and now I start on the wrong slide. Fail. PvP basics and more. You can't see this because of the screen, but PvP basics and more. Road to Wings and Battlefield. I call this presentation. T1 defense, T1 defense progression after the T1 defense, how to get points, attacking, march presets and generals, and Kiki will talk about the buffs.
Maybe. We'll find out.
No, you will.
Fine.
Okay, so the T1 trap defense, most you already know this, but I will just go through maybe something new. So the free to play options for generals, which is the first thing you need to think to look for, is Richard Lionheart. He's the highest overall buffs from the free generals. You can get him in the tavern by rolling him. And also George Dewey. Also in the tavern, he's a little bit more difficult to get, but he has higher archer attack and siege attack, which is really nice, higher than Richard. But has pretty good overall buffs as well. And then we have Zachary Taylor from the Red X, and he has the highest archer attack. So all three of them are like really good options to go for, and you just have to choose which one you prefer. And if you're a high coiner, like you need to spend a lot to be able to get these generals ascended. But then we have stuff like William Marshall. He has, of course, even higher overall buffs, also with archer attack and siege attack and stuff like this. Isaac Brock is a good option as well. He's mostly ground focused, but that's not bad. That's also good. And this is for the really big whales, Takenaka. You could get him the other, like a few events ago, right, Kiki? But it was like, how much was it to get just one copy?
I can't remember exactly how much it was to get one copy, but to fully ascend one, I think it was well over 2K just to get.
Yeah.
So he is by far the hardest one to get, where Marshall, you can still pull him, like through the general tokens or in some other different events, where Tekanaka is 100 times harder to get. So
Yeah.
he's better suited for just being an assistant general if you can get him at least one copy.
Yeah. Hey, Carl, I can see you joined, and that's really good. Do you mind muting your mic because you have some background noise? Okay, I think that's good. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, and then we have other popular options like Leo. I don't think this is a good option anymore. Actually, it used to be the best siege defense general, but now we have stuff like wait, where is he? I think he's here. It's like Steven, which is like a regular siege general that but has the leading the army class, which means that he also works for defense, and he also has higher siege buffs than Leo, Leo the Third. That is like a proper defense general. So I'm not so sure about him anymore. Also, we're hopefully getting a new defense general pretty soon. Oh, also, Queen Boudica, a lot of people are using, but she's not a good option. I don't like her at all. She's good for one type of keeps, and that is like mid-sized keeps that have a lot of cavalry, high tier cavalry. For example, me, I have like 3 million tier 14s, and that's more than my other ground and archers. So that's why she kind of still works for me to protect my high tier cavalry. But for a tier 1 trap keep, you don't want to have this many cavalries, high tiers. That's really annoying actually to have this much. It will really hurt me. It really hurts when I get attacked. So that's not the best strategy to go for. Okay, and then for when you choose your general, next step is to go for your gear, and the best is just Achaemenid gear or upgraded to Parthian. And you choose the gear types for the high tier troops you have, right? So because you get percentage buffs. And as a tier 1, when you start out, you should look for the in-city range attacks buffs, because that will, you don't want to have so much other high tier troops, but range troops you can have a lot of high tier troops and still be safe, and I will explain this a little bit later. So go for the gear with archer attack. This is not it, and this is not what I didn't build this, but yeah, archer attack. And then when you refine it, you go for, of course, mounted troop flats for all of them. Mounted troop flats, mounted troop flats. Here I have choreo gear. I will go into this later, but you don't need choreo, at least not in the beginning. Achaemenid and upgraded Parthian is totally fine, and 6 pieces, so you get the 6-piece bonus there. Yeah, and when you're starting out and you don't have server war wings, Ares wings yet, it's a good idea to go for a dragon on your wall general. The free dragons, Celtic Dragon and Fafnir, they don't buff specifically for when you defend, they just buff attacking. But something I like to do when starting out is to use the Fafnir Dragon on your wall general, and then you can refine it for flat mounted troop attack to help in your defense for your tier 1s. And this will let you, when you later get your real wall dragon, that you can still use this for your cavalry general without changing the refines. You can see I still have flat refines here from back when this dragon used to be on the wall general. So I'm not in a rush to change this, you know. I'm a sucker for flat refines anyway, so I don't feel like I need to change this. So that's something you can do. If you use Celtic Demon, this is a ranged dragon. I mean, you could use it for your defense as well with flat cavalry attack, or no, flat cavalry refines, but then you would have to change it right away when you want to start attacking. So that's just something I like to think about. And now we come to what troops you need and should have as a tier 1 trap. So you basically only need small layers of everything from ground and siege. That's just protective layers that will not do any damage. It's just to soak hits from enemy attacks. And from tier 3 to tier 14 of cavalry, you only also just need a small amount of protective layers, like really small. And their job is just to take one attack and then die. But that will delay enemy attacking layers to reach your tier 1s, so that your tier 1s have time to run up to the enemy troops and start doing damage, right? So, and you need at least 100 million. That's really the minimum right now. If you're taking hits from below, from K39 and below, it can be okay to have a little bit lower, like 70 million. but we're kind of not up against anyone lower than K40 now. There's always a K40 or above. Even now, when we're against a new server, they have at least one K40, and then you really need the 100 million, I think. But for the rest, it's good if you have just a few, right? And except for archers or ranged troops, and this is something that you need to know about the battle mechanics that I can explain right now. Because when you get attacked by an archer march, which is probably the most common, the enemy archers will start attacking your own cavalry. So your archers are safe behind your cavalry wall, because as long as your tier 1 cavalry are alive, your archers will not be attacked by archers. Also, if you get attacked by ground will start attacking your ground troops and then your cavalry. So that archers are also safe against ground attacks when you have your tier 1 cavalry. And the same with a cavalry attack. If you get hit by cavalry, they will start with attacking your ground troops and then your cavalry troops. So archers are safe from all those 3 attacks. It's only if you get hit by siege, because siege will first start attacking your siege and then your archers. But at that point, your own cavalry should have enough time to run up to the enemy siege and kill them. So that should still be a good hit to take. Yeah. So and with this build here that we have, you can't really take rallies, so only take solo attacks. And if you're a smaller trap, big players will always solo attack you. So that should be good. Okay.
I will say though, for who we're facing in SVS, you probably at this point really need around 200 million T1s. Earlier, it would have been fine, but because we faced some pretty hefty opponents for SVS, you should always have about around 200 million at this point for your T1 wall.
Okay, good.
Just throwing that out there as a
Yeah.
disclaimer.
Yeah, that's
Because you
good.
might die with just 100 million.
Yeah, that's true. But also, like, if you have lower, like, smaller layers, and you get zeroed, you have a pretty good chance of still going positive. Maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
maybe.
As long as you
Depends
don't
on
have.
what their buffs are.
Yeah.
So I would
True.
say to be safe in our server, a good goal would be at least 150 to about 200.
Yeah.
Just for us. But anyone else, new servers, just starting, 100 mils, good.
Yeah. I mean, I started with 70 million and got pretty good results in the beginning. But yeah, of course, we're up against much harder opponents right now. So how to play server wars? There are a few different things you need to think about. The first, maybe, is if you want to use if you want to fill your hospital or not. Because a lot of people, especially those who coin a lot, they will have really a lot of source of life. And then it will be cheaper for them to heal the troops with source of life instead of healing them regularly like this in the hospital. For me, though, I usually don't have much source of life, so I always try to heal as much as possible with my hospital, so I never fill it. And right now I have a lot because I haven't played server wars so much for quite a long time. So I have here 16,000. I'm usually around like 3 or 4 or 5,000, and that's really not enough. But of course, if you're a smaller player, you don't need as many source of life either. But still. So the easiest way to get points, I think, is to get points from our own server. When the enemy comes to our server, that's always safer because you have the option of using a bubble. And the first thing you need to find, of course, is when to know when someone is coming to our server, and you can do this by checking here on the server war tab, and you go into their alliance rankings. And then you look here, and when someone is on our server, they will have a small icon here on their avatar. We'll see if someone is here right now. I think Kiki scared them away now, so most of them just went home.
Yeah, I think I kicked them all off
Yeah.
the server for now.
If I can't find someone, you will just have to find it for yourself. There we go. Here, Fat Unicorn is here. You see he has the two swords there. And then you just go to details, locate cords, and then use what's it called, arrest warrants. And then you find them. There he is. This looks like an alt account. So when you find someone that you think you can get points from, you find them. Maybe you can try to pretend like you're dropped bubble in the hive, or you can port next to them and see if they want to attack you. It's if you're in the hive, I think you should always have reinforcements. Or I don't know. This is a little bit, a mind game here, because if someone just hits you without scouting, then of course it's better with reinforcements. But if they scout you first, then you maybe don't want to have reinforcements, because when the enemy sees that you have reinforcements, they probably don't want to attack you. So yeah, that's a little bit of mind game. So you have to think like, what would the enemy think sometimes? And when you're ghosting on your own server, it's always good to look for a monster to ghost on, because then you can bubble up whenever you need without unghosting. So I like to go in here, edge of the map, and find a lower level boss, because they don't take so much stamina. Yeah, just ghost on that, and then you can bubble up whenever you need. And then if you don't find any points on your own server, then you can start looking on the enemy server. And before you go to the enemy server, there's a few things. You need 2 bookmarks, at least. One is a bookmark on our own server, so that you can find it quick to port back. I just made a bookmark here on this guy. And the second is a bookmark on the enemy server that you can ghost on. And when you're on the enemy server, I always like to look for a dead keep, because that doesn't cost any stamina, and you can't bubble anyway when you're on the enemy server. So might as well just go for a dead keep. Here we have someone. So now I have my 2 bookmarks. And optional if you want to look for targets first. I already have the the hives bookmark here, so I got what I need. Okay, then you just go over like this. Oh, no, wait. I forgot that you have to plan what you want to do first. So I always like to, because I have a lot of cavalry, I like to put them in as much as I can in the bunker. If it's working. I mean, it's not much you can put here, but why not? I can't put anything here right now. Oh, I forgot to buff up first. Oh yeah, do this before you go over. I'm not worried right now because we're against a weaker server. I don't think they can attack me. And I have my 5-minute bubble. And nothing is working right now. That's a little bit worrying. But anyway, I should just... What's going on? I can't see anything. Oh, hello, Dargus. I can see you're talking. Your mic is muted.
Yes. Hello?
Hello.
Sometimes you need to reload the game.
Yeah, I can see. It just takes so long here on my PC.
It happens when you go to another server.
It never happened to me before, but I guess I will do it. I hope I don't get zeroed now. That would be funny.
I guess I should go over there.
Yeah, please save me. Okay, I will try now to bunker. There we go.
It's not loading on your screen right now.
Okay,
Just
but
FYI.
I got back at least.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I have that one.
Yeah.
Wait, let me see if I can change it. That's annoying.
It was running so smoothly.
Yeah,
There you go.
there we go. Okay. Okay. Where am I? Okay, I'm on the enemy server. Good. Okay, and then we just ghosts. Whatever we need to ghost. No, not with this guy. I always ghost like my cav. I also need to ghost my siege actually. Because that's losing a lot of points and it's really painful in the servers because of the soul. Okay, so I'm ghosting my troops now, and now I'm kind of safe to take basically any solo hits. I also need to decide what hits am I taking. I got caught by this once because I didn't know what to do. I need to decide before I go, who do I take a hit from, and do I take a rally or not? You probably don't take a rally. So if you see that you start getting rallied, you need to, you know, as quick as you can, cancel your ghost and port away from it. Because once I got rallied and I didn't know what to do, should I stay ghosted because it will be better for that I don't lose my cav, or should I try to port away? And I took the rally, and I mean, I won the exchange, but I lost all my soul, and I had to coin just to heal back, and that was not so smart for me. Right. It can be hard to dodge hits, solo hits, especially when you're ghosting. Or, I mean, you basically can't dodge solo hits when you're ghosting. If you're not ghosting, you can kind of see on your screen when someone is attacking you. And if you see, okay, I don't want to take from this player, then you can quickly just port to the side. It's possible. It's a little bit tricky. And then what do you do when you come here if no one notices you? You can go to someone's hive and start attacking their unbubbled. You know, it doesn't matter if they have troops or not. Just burn them and they will notice you, right? And then maybe they will attack you. You can also go to the temples, occupy the temples to get the timer ticking. That's always good to do, even if no one shows up, because you know, we get some rewards when we take the temples and we win. You can also, like, if you see someone else sitting at a temple and there's, you know, enemies around them, and then you feel like, oh, I can go in there, I can take a hit and get some points. You can always port next to them and see if they want to hit you. You know, just find someone that you think you can get points from.
You can also sit in their hive and burn their alliance city.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have to burn it down, but if you really want to get people to notice you, just throw some troops in their alliance city. It gets everybody's wheels turning a little bit.
Yeah. One thing though, when you're burning an alliance city or if you're occupying a temple, you should think about that you have to recall the march if you want to port away. So that's way slower than if you're just ghosting, right? So you have to then, if you get rallied or something, you have to recall the march, speed the march back, and then you can port. So that's a little bit risky, but it's worth it if you're paying attention. As long as you don't fall asleep Irish, you should be fine.
I never go to the enemy server without checking your generals are there as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Irish.
No. Yeah, but just prepare as much as you can and try to think about everything before going over to reduce the risk of something bad happening. Another thing I want to talk about is when it's throne time. If we have a throne war, that's when like most people are playing, and it's easy to get people to notice you, of course, and then maybe you can get some points. You don't have to like try to take the throne or anything, but as long as you show yourself, and they will see you and they might hit you. One thing though, when you take a building, one of these, if your name is on it, if you're the one occupying it, you won't be able to bubble. You can get bubbled with a green bubble if you're outside of the forest, because if you're in the forest, you also can't bubble. And if you're on the enemy server and you're sitting in the forest, this probably shouldn't happen if you have a good defense, but if you get zeroed, you will be force ported right away. So like if you have a ghosting keep, for example, you can't sit in the forest because you will be force ported back to your own server with 1 hit instead of the usual 10 hits if you're not in the forest. And the towers here, especially if you're just looking for points, the catapults here are the best thing to pay attention to, because they will, if the enemy team is reinforcing the throne so that we can't take the throne back, this will shoot on the reinforcements and you will not lose anything, but you will get a good amount of points. Actually, it does a good amount of damage to the reinforcements in the throne. So that's something you can think about, but you have to hold it for at least 180 seconds for the first hit, and after that it's every 300 seconds. So it's not often, but if it's working, you can just try to take it and recall your troops, and then maybe they don't take it back. It's worth a try. Magic Tower is to reduce the time that the throne takes to finish. The Hero Tower is to increase hospital capacity and march size 2 when you're marching to the throne, and the healing speed. So that's not so important. Okay, so when you get your, or maybe when you get your wings, you unlock Wonder and you get your dragons and stuff like this, then you can get a lot stronger defense. And even if you don't have the dragon yet and want to progress your defense, you can still follow these steps. So I explained before about the battle mechanics, that your archers are safe as long as you have your T1s. So this is the way we will progress our defense, is to, of course, make the cavalry tier 1s bigger so that they will not die as quickly. And then you can also train as much archers as you want. The more the better. Just be careful with tier 14s, because if you get hit by siege, that will give a lot of points. But if you don't have much siege, you should only have as much siege as you need to protect your archers, right? If you want to have a siege defense, you need to be really, that's for the big players like K43 and up, kind of, basically. And these are like some recommendation numbers to go for. Tier 1s, 500 million. Tier 2s now, 100 million. And the reason you want to have more tiers and not just everything in your T1s is that when you have more of the other tiers as well, they can also help to kill the enemy layers. Because enemy attacks will also have all of these layers, right? And every layer takes at least one attack from your own attacking layers. So the more attacking layers you have, the quicker you can kill the enemy protective layers and kill also then their attacking layers. So that's why train every tier of archers, not just the high tiers. You can train more tier 12s. That would be a good idea so that you have a lot for your own archer march in Battlefield, for example. Careful a little bit with the tier 14s, but then, you know, all the tiers. Because even tier 2s, tier 3s, tier 1s, they're weak, but they will kill enemy protective layers as well. Oh, my camera...
Yeah, you froze.
Stopped working. That doesn't matter. Ground troops are also really good for defending. The same as, I would say the same as archers, you need every tier. But ground troops, if you remember, against cavalry attacks, ground troops are not protected by your tier 1 cavalry. Because enemy cavalry will kill your ground troops first. But you protect your ground troops by having a lot of archers, right? So you basically you don't want to have more ground than you have archers. Because if you have a lot of archers, the enemy will not want to attack you with cavalry, right? I have, unfortunately, more ground than archers, but I will fix this when I start training more archers. And then your cavalry layers, you also need to have a little bit bigger now. So like even your high tiers, you want to have a little bit bigger so that they do not die against enemy protective layers, and they can take a few more hits. And the idea of these numbers are to take rallies, because then there will be multiple protective layers and multiple attacking layers, right, in the enemy attack. Of course, the more reinforcements you have, the better. But this is kind of to make it a little bit safer, a little bit stronger, you know. And when you get also your wall dragon, I like to recommend that you have mounted troop HP for refines on him. Of course, on your gear, you're locked to one attribute on each gear. These give attack and each give HP and so on. But on the dragon you can get what you want. So HP I think is the most important. Just so that you don't get absolutely killed before your cavalry can even start attacking. And when you're getting to the point where you have starting to get more and more higher tier troops, this is something I thought of just recently, that choreo gear, just changing to the choreo gear, the civilization gear, it doesn't give that much more buffs than to just have Achaemenid gear, and you lose the 6-piece debuff, which is pretty nice when you change to some choreo gear. But something that's super valuable with choreo gear is that you can do advanced refining, and here you get all troops attack, which helps especially in defense, instead of just for one troop type, right? So that's why I changed now recently to choreo to get the advanced refines. And yeah, try to get at least 2 pieces so you get this set attribute. So that's nice. Okay, moving on to attacking generals. So there are two ways to go about choosing a general for attacking. You can go for the free-to-play options. We got a really good update to the tavern with some new generals here. Let's see. Charles the 12th. Like, if you get him fully maxed out, of course he will not be as good as one of the newer generals, but he will be pretty damn good. What you can do is when there's a new general released, what do we have now? I don't even know. But you can stack up these here, the general tokens. Don't you just use them. You don't let them stack up. Because when there's a new general, you have a lot higher chance to get the newer general when you open them. And when there's a new general, let's say you're looking for a new archer general. Or, no, wait, well, what was the new guy? Charles V. Let's say you're looking for a new ground general. You could try to get 1 or 2 copies of this guy and just have him with just 1 star. You don't ascend him fully because that would take a lot of coining. But at 1 star, for example, he will be better. He will be better than most of the free options when they're fully ascended. And it's a lot cheaper because you don't need the Blood of Ares. So that's a really low effort, low cost way to get a pretty decent general. But of course now with the new update to the tavern, the new generals that are in the tavern, they will still be better than that. But of course also more expensive to get, because you have to get, you have to roll the tavern until you get them as well. So the premium generals, to get 1 or 2 copies to get the 1 star or something, is really good, easy way to get a pretty good general. And for the assistant general, of course, always try to get 1 copy of a premium general, because you can't ascend them anyway as the assistants. So that's always the best. And here we come to refines. And now I know that Kiki will disagree with me, but I think flat refines are still better for attacking generals than percent refines. And the reason is debuffs. Because when you attack enemy keep, especially when we do rallies, I would say not 100, but most, really 90% of the time, I will get maxed debuff. My debuffs, my archer buffs, I think they're pretty good. They're at 2000 or 2100. And for it to get max debuff, the enemy needs to have 1000 archer attack debuff. And that is not that difficult to get. So most people I will attack will max debuff me. And if you think about when you max debuff, that my buffs are cut in half. So these almost 30% refine, that's just 15% instead of flat that are not affected by the debuffs. So if there's no debuff at all, the cutoff point is at tier what is it? Tier 11 or tier 10s. So I think for tier 11s, percent refines are still better, but if you go down to tier 10s, flat refines will always be better. But when you get max debuffs, even for the tier 14s, flat refines will give you more stats than percentage refines. And when you think, especially for archers, because in an archer march you will use mostly tier 12s, I mean, I can tell you that flat refines will be better in 99% of the case, because even if you hit a smaller player, they will have some debuffs to them, right? But then there's also a question of like what stats will you get max debuffed from? If I bring up a report here, for example, you know, siege, HP, and defense debuff, that's pretty difficult to get. So if you can get that up to 1,500, which is still really difficult, that will be better with percentage, for example. Maybe ground attack is pretty difficult to debuff, so that you can think about going for percentage. Oh yeah, but ground is actually different anyway, because for ground, in a ground march... Sorry? Okay, in a ground march, you probably have mostly high tier as well. So that makes more sense to use percentage refines. That's not so bad. But of course, if you're K40 and have tier 15s, then you can. Then I think it's worth it to go for percentage refines anyway. Is there there's some background noise here? If someone. Okay. Kiki, is there something you want to say about the refines?
I was just gonna let you have your flat versus percentage.
Thank you.
I was just gonna let you have it. The reason why I would prefer percentage, like percent, is just usually because your attack will be a lot higher within the rally, which will usually kind of support me a little bit more.
But I don't agree with this actually. I think your attack will be higher with flats, right? And will support you better with.
It's not, but it's okay.
No,
I accept your flats.
Oh, thank you, but okay, yeah. As you see, we have different ideas, but either way, when you do refining, you maybe don't want to wait for the perfect refines anyway. Like if you get a good flat, you can keep it. If you get a good percentage, you can keep that as well. Because you can also adjust your March preset after what refines you get. For example, if you get a lot of flat archer refines, you can maybe add a little bit more of tier 11s or tier 10s even. That will make it will make it quicker to kill enemy layers, protective layers, and give you a lower power march, which will, you know, help with power exchange and healing. Yeah. So when you do a preset, you have, of course, your protective layers. 1,000 in each is pretty standard. Bibo is talking about experimenting with bigger layers, which could be an idea. But the protective layer's job is just to get one hit and then die, just to waste an enemy's turn. And then you add your attacking layers. So in an archer march, of course, it's archers. And archers, the way archers work is that they have range, right? They attack from range. So that, and their job is just to kill enemy cavalry. But they will die really quickly as soon as the cavalry and ground troops reach your archers. And they will do that after they kill off your protective rays, right? And that's and archers have so low HP and defense. So the way you make your archer preset is by you have pretty low tier 14s, a little bit higher tier 13s, and then you have your main attacking layer in your tier 12s. I will give your tier 12s even more time to get more attacks in, as long as the tier 14s and 13s are alive. And yeah, as I said, if you have flat refines, you can go for even more tier 11s and stuff like that. In a cavalry march. This works a little bit different because they are melee, so they need to run up to the enemy and they need to survive enemy archer attacks if they have still, which they usually do, and they have a little bit more, a little more HP and defense, so that you should have a little bit more high tier here, a little bit more top heavy. Still not full on, tier 14s. I still have more tier 13s than 14s in my presets, for example. But like you can do it like you want. So yeah, and their job is to kill enemy ground troops first, right? And they have really high attack. So even though ground troops have high defense and stuff, that kind of works out. There's also the damage modifiers, because cavalry will then do more damage to grounds. Right, and then you still, you have down to your 12s. Yeah, I wouldn't do tier 11s, I think, in a cavalry march. That's not really the way it works, but down to 12s is good. And then we have the siege. Siege is a complete topic in itself. But the way we do it right now is just to have your protective layers, protective layers, and then you have as full march of tier 11s, and that's the way it works. Basically, that's the rallies we do. I have 12s because I don't have so many tier 11s, but I'm training them slowly. So the tier 11's job is to kill enemy siege, and the tier 11s will start with enemy tier 4 siege, and kind of, work their way through the siege layers. And then we have the big, I don't have this here prepared, but the big siege, they will start attacking enemy big siege first. So that's kind of, there's nuance to it, but siege attacks siege. Is the idea. And then we have the ground troops, and the ground troops march is just for finishing off an opponent when at least all their cav are dead. Preferably also their ground. So if there's just archers and siege left, you can basically always one-shot a person with a ground. If it's a smaller player, you can also just straight up one-tap them with ground if it's strong enough. We usually do archers anyway, because our archer rally is the strongest. And ground works with really, really high top heavy in the preset, because they have so high defenses and HP. And of course, the high tiers have higher, so they will take even longer to kill. So, I mean, I wrote here 50%, 14 and 13, but you will see people that have even more of the high tiers, because they're just tanking everything, Especially if you have tier 15s. I also put bigger 10,000 protective layers here, because my ground march, I mainly use it for reinforcing, and when it's march, when you don't attack a keep, it's better. If you have like marches versus marchers, it's always better to have bigger, well, not always, but it's good to have bigger layers, because then your protective layers can become attacking layers when they attack enemy protective layers, right? So that's a little bit how that works. And that was all what I had prepared. Now I'm excited to hear what Kiki has to say about how to raise your buffs here.
There's so much to raising your buffs. Hopefully you can walk us through on your screen and I can do this justice. But some of the biggest things, especially with raising your attacking buffs, of course, starts with your research, which is in your academy. Going into here, so making sure that your military advance is fully completed. So some of the research within this area. You don't need all of it because some of it is just with training troops. So what you see on Dochan's screen, you can skip that. But anything that has to do with like right here where you are decreasing your HP or decreasing your defense. There's also some attacking in here as well for your mounted siege range, everything in here. So making sure that these icons are fully maxed is very important to get your attacking up. The other one, there is a little bit in defense, I think, as well. I haven't been in here for a while, but I think they're more towards the bottom for the attacking.
I think these buffs will affect all your troops, defending
Yeah,
and attacking, but it's mostly HP and defense, I think.
Yeah, which will be great in your attacking. So just ensuring that all of this is completed is important, especially before you're going up to the next keep level. Because if you're not doing this, you're always going to have a really um, bad basically attack, a solo attack or a rally attack if you're not doing your research in here. So always just ensure that you're always doing everything in here. Then if you go into the military academy, this is where you will find a lot more within each category. So usually the bigger blocks in here are going to have the most when it comes to your attacking. So just even that first one you can see. Yep, just click on that one. It says that it's going to increase your ground troops and your mounted troops attack. And then it will also give you some extra stuff for like reducing your enemy range. So those are going to be the biggest ones where you'll see attack. Some of the smaller icons as well will have some attacking in it, but you have to actually read these carefully because sometimes you might be thinking that you're raising your attack and you're not. You're actually raising your in city. So just make sure that you read through them because sometimes, so like this one, it is increasing your ground troop attack. But it's only when you're joining an alliance war. So this is going to work differently than a solo. So if you're soloing, you're not going to get this percentage. It's only going to happen if you're in a rally. So those are two different things when you are reading these. So just make sure that you're reading them clearly because sometimes people will go and max them out and they'll say, why is my solo attack not higher? It's because you have to be in an actual rally for it to apply to your attack. But there's a ton of different buffs in each category. So it's really important to get all of your military academy finished, but there's also ones that you can skip and wait for. So some of your reinforcing ones you can skip for a little bit. Anything that kind of has to do with training troops or your hospital you can skip, but in here, this is where you'll find the majority of your attacking buffs. So if your attacking buffs are low, you need to go through each of these and just really read through them and understand what that attack applies to. Versus just assuming that it's going to attach to everything that you're doing with an attack, because some of them are rally and some of them are solo. So that's the military academy. The other places where you're going to find some one-off increases like to your attacking is in your victory column. Now, things in here start, so once you kind of get through your research, it starts to become more of like a nitpicky thing of where you're trying to find every single type of buff you possibly can. So your victory column, if you go back into the information,
I didn't even know this.
or so on here, it's going to increase your general basic attributes. So similar to like when you're cultivating. So that's what you're thinking about. So every single time you level this up, you're increasing those basic attributes. For your attack or your defense, your HP, all of that, that's going to apply in here. So even though it's a small percentage, it's actually really important to make sure that you're leveling up your victory column. On top of that, you still get some good things like your construction speed, research speed, that's going to also cut the cost of what you're spending when you're upgrading. So yes, it doesn't seem like a lot, but over time as you upgrade, it does help all of your basic attributes. So the victory column is one to not forget about and upgrade when you can, which this also you have to upgrade to get any more Senate spots in that building, which in the Senate is another place where you can get a lot of your attacking buffs as well. So if you go to the very first one, like, yep. So in here, there's a lot of different types of options. So every time you put a general in here, so you can drop that down. Once you get a general fully ascended, now this is for heavier coiners, I won't lie, because you're going to use a lot of Blood of Ares. But every time you ascend them, you're going to get all of these extra buffs. But as you can see, some of these where if you have it 3 stars, you're going to get more attacking on your ground. And then the last one on every single slot within the Senate is always going to have that extra 10%. So that's going to be an extra 60% just in your attack on your ground and on your mounted, on your range. So these are really good to have. Even if you don't have it fully ascended, just getting some of these buffs is super important. So just make sure you're filling up those slots, which you can pull those from your tavern. Don't use, I had to use some of my main generals that I'm now trying to replace, but most of the time, just any generals you can put in here is important. So you can stay on that first one, Dochan. So after you've kind of filled all of your slots, you can go to upgrade. And in here, you have even more buffs. So here you have to, at some point, level up. So you see all these little flags, you have to level them up to level 11 before you can go to the next buff in here. But on this first one alone, you're going to get a lot of different types of attacking attributes for your attack march, which is really good. So just reading through these and understanding it, because sometimes people are reading this and they're like, oh, attacking range troop, and they're thinking that you're getting attacked, but it's really just your HP. But there's still, in this first one, there's a lot of attacking in this one. And then if you go back out, so the governor has a lot of attacking buffs, and then the next one, go over one more. I think it's might be, nope, one more. I think it's this one. If you press upgrade, this is the other one where you're going to get a lot of your attacking buffs from as well when you upgrade it. So the Senate is really good. It's just you have to save up a lot over time. So it will take a while to get, but if you're focusing just on attacking, these are the 2 columns that you're going to want to focus on the most, which is the leading and the governor one, just to increase your attacking buffs. Now, if you go back out, now the next title where it says upgrade position level, this is where you also can get even more attacking buffs. So you have to read all of these attributes. So this one that you just clicked on, this one's going to increase your in ranged rally troop attack. And as you upgrade it, you can also see that you're going to get even more additional little attacks as well. And each one, so not each one has an in rally attack. Some of them are all different, so you really have to kind of click through them and look at every single one of them. And it takes some time, I won't lie. But these are just little one-off buffs that you can get just for your attacking alone. And then if you go out to the next one, which is, I think, the position promotion. So click on that again. Oh, you don't have any unlocked.
Yeah, I'm a poor
because
boy.
yeah, so the Senate can be expensive. So in here, I would just say you have to really focus on what's going to benefit your keep at the end of the day. But once you start like really diving into your attacking, the Senate is huge for getting more attacking buffs. So if you're trying to squeeze in any sort of attacking buff, just kind of digging through the Senate is going to benefit you by a lot.
So how do I unlock this?
I don't remember.
Oh, you
I
just have
think
it.
you actually. I just have it. I think you actually have to have. Let me see if mine pulls up. Yeah, I don't know how mine unlocked.
Maybe you
I
just
don't
have
know how you
to
don't have.
keep upgrading this. Here.
You probably do. Mine was just unlocked, so I
Okay.
can't help you with that one. I'll have to go back and check because
Yeah.
I'm like, a lot of mine are open, so I have no idea how I did it. But
Okay.
there's even more buffs in that as well. They look similar to the upgraded position level, but they're a little bit different because you actually you have to. So what you can do once you unlock some of those, so all these extra fragments that you basically have. So if you already like ascended a general and then you just have extra copies, you melt them down to kind of get these coins to start promoting them. So
Oh.
not going to say that everybody has that, but that's another way to kind of get even more of your attacking up. You
Oh.
also
Sorry.
what?
Was that what you do here?
Yep, this one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so any extra fragments that you have, you'll melt them down and then you can use them in your Senate. But you don't have that, so
No, here I have. This one I did.
oh, there you go. So this one, yeah.
I
So
knew I
you
did it a
can
little bit.
yeah, I was like, I don't know why you don't have any. I don't really know how it opens, but so in here you can see there's even more attacking buffs. And how to get them is you just take some fragments and that's how you get these little coins. But the issue here is at a certain point you actually have to have these other little, I don't even know what to call them, but they're only in a cake. So you can only get them up to a certain point before you get to a cake. So once you hit that, you're kind of stuck if you're not a coiner, basically. But you can still get them up to a certain point. So still getting whatever you can until you reach this point is a smart idea. So after your Senate, the other thing where you can get extra buffs from is your Triumphal Arc, which I think is at when can you open this, Dochan?
Oh, I'm really
What
not
keep
sure.
level?
Is it 35 or 36?
It's either 35 or 36. It might be 36,
Okay,
but
it could be
even in here
38.
could be.
Oh.
Um, well, yeah, so if you're at 38 and you haven't done anything in here, please go and do that. Because there is things in here that do help, mostly with your rally capacity, but at the bottom you can see it increases your troop attack and defense and HP in your battlefield. So this is going to be different because this isn't going to work outside of battlefield. So it's not going to apply when you're just an SVS, but it will apply when you're in the battlefield, which you can get a pretty good bump as you upgrade it. But I think you can only upgrade it to level 3, right?
Um, I don't know what happened here. Okay, so I have it at level 2, and to get it to level 3, I need to enter All Stars.
Okay, so you can only get it up to.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think there's a requirement of bog and bok points.
okay. I don't know if there is. I think this first one, when you unlock it, it's just for.
Yeah, level 1 is maybe okay, but level 2 I think you need like 7,000 or something like this in Constantinople or something.
Okay, that makes sense, but we're way past that, so it's hard
Yeah,
to say.
it should be it should be easy enough to unlock if you're in SLG at least.
Yep, which is good, but that is one way to get more attacking buffs, but again, it only applies in battlefield. It does not apply outside of it. So that's where I even sometimes get confused, and I'm like, oh, wait, I don't have those same buffs because I'm not in battlefield. So, sucks. The other place to get really good buffs, which is as you gather them is going to be in the pasture with your beasts. So beasts are very important, even to your sub generals, to everything, but in here mostly it's going to be based off of your sills. So if you go into sills, this is kind of like third academy in a sense. In here, there's a ton of different little buffs to help increase your attacking marches. So you'll have attacking for range, you'll have attacking for siege, ground, mounted. So clicking through these and looking for anything that's attack, that's kind of where you want to start um, to increase your buffs for your attacks. It's super important. It's also important for your defense, but again, these are kind of hard to come by at some point because you have to have a lot of blood crystals, and blood crystals are not easy to get by any means. They're usually either you get some because monsters drop them, or you have to buy them. Is pretty much the only way to get them at this point, but saving them and then just using them, and also it's good, which Dochan didn't say anything about this, but as you get them, you're also getting extra buffs even for your defense from doing all of these sills. So it's a good place to consistently check to see if you have anything, but knowing what you're going for and what you're doing is important. I wouldn't say that it's a free-for-all, so if you were probably leveling up who you're kind of on now might not be the best option, whereas the first three that are the newest are gonna give you the most bang for your buck, whether that is in attacking or even in your in-city defense. They just have more buffs for you. So, and what you kind of are looking for. So that is another place to get them. The other place that you always need to make sure that you're checking for your attacking buffs is your art hall. So here there are part of it is all going to be about coining, and then others, see, like Dochan right now should upgrade this because it all has to do with
I
his
I
attacking.
I checked this other day and I could not attack at that time, so I'm really happy to see that I got it now.
So I think there's 3 in here that are all to do with just attacking in some sort of capacity. So you have that first one where you're gonna get ground, range, and mounted. I think it's that middle. Nope. It might be the statue. The ring of. Nope. Oh wait, yep, that one had one. That one has it. So clicking through these and just making sure that you're consistently upgrading these is important because they give you a lot to your attack, and they're easy to forget about when you're not checking them consistently. Because this does gather over time, so just always make sure to go in and check to see where you're at and upgrade them as soon as possible. The other place that you can also get attacking buffs from is your Civ Treasure. This is another one that you always want to make sure that you're paying attention to, because as you upgrade these, there are attacking buffs in here, and you just want to make sure that you're upgrading them, and you will gather these over time, which is great. You don't have to do a lot besides usually hunting monsters. So just pay attention to this one. The other way that you can also increase your attack is in your monarch gear. So the monarch gear that's set here. So a lot of times we leave it on Aries just because it gives overall attack or defense HP, but you can set them to where it's just like your range attack. You're on HP. So it's the first one.
Oh, oh yeah.
So if you're looking in here, these are all going to have attack. So increasing these in any time you can, and you can get these in the black market. You can get them from your patrol. You can also get them from spinning the wheel. So hydras, if you want, like we hunt a lot of hydras, so make sure you go and spin your wheel as much as possible because you will start to gain a lot of these copies. And how you, yep. So doing this is super important to get more of those. You can also go into the black market and kind of go through there to find some more. And then you can also do your patrol. Um, which will also give them as many times as you kind of free spin, which you can gain them pretty quickly if you're doing it consistently, just to level them up. And people forget about their patrol, and you can actually get quite a few from this if you just sit here and click it. So don't forget to do those.
That's really time consuming though. But you could use it like an auto clicker or something for this.
Yes.
For example.
Yep. And it's pretty cheap to also do it there, because the black market can get kind of expensive just because it's all gems, and gems are hard to come by. But it's definitely something that you should be looking at. I think a lot of people forget that they have Monarch gear sometimes and they're not leveling it up, which if you haven't, if you go back into your details on your profile where the Monarch gear is, if you just go into the gear icon at the bottom,
Which, this
at
one?
the very, all the way over.
All the way over what?
Gear. Go to the gear icon down. You're on fame. Right next to fame is gear.
Oh.
So as you can see right here, there's gear to upgrade. This shows all of it, and you can come in here and see what you can upgrade. So compose it and just ensure that you're basically upgrading all of your gear as much as possible.
You can sell gear. I didn't know this.
Yep, you can sell gear. But this is where I always go to upgrade all my gear.
Oh, I just go here, and when you can upgrade it, there will be a little arrow, and then you just click, upgrade it to it, or you go.
Yeah, but
go
see,
like
you
this.
weren't. Yeah, but see, if you go back to the gear, and you just click on the level 1, right, and compose, and then it's gonna take you to the same screen.
Yeah.
So now you can click through all of them, and you can see that you have level 1s, because you have a lot of level 1s. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, but I mean, I just care if I can go to the next level. If I have 2 level 7s, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but if you're not also doing your level 1s, you're not gonna know if you can get to a level 7.
No,
because
you
those
can.
level 1s are gonna, those level 1s
There will
are
be
gonna
a
turn
little
into level
arrow
2.
here. There will be a little arrow here when you have enough to get.
I've never seen that on a level 1 though.
No, but I
Unless
mean,
if I'm composing it all.
yeah, but you don't have to. It doesn't really matter.
That's what I do, is I compose them all to every single level until they eventually reach the level I need them.
Yeah.
But
it would be good if we could round out up a little bit soon.
yeah, no, I think that is probably the biggest areas to find all of your attacking buffs. This is different from your defense. This is all about your actual march. But those would probably be the areas that if you are trying to increase, that's where you want to go first and look to increase, because everything counts. You also have ideal land, but that's super expensive. Not really worth it at all. So you can get little buffs in there as you increase, but you have to have a ton of points just to do that. But ultimately, the biggest places that you're really going and looking for a lot of your buffs are in the Senate, in your victory column, in your seals, making sure that your art hall is always upgraded, along with your civ treasure. And then there's gear on top of that, but I think we can talk gear on a different day, because that's a hefty subject. But if you are trying to increase, those are the places I would be looking at consistently.
And there's always coming out new stuff where you can get buffs as well. So it's a never-ending project.
Yep.
Blazons.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I forgot about Blazons.
Let's not go into that right now.
No, this one is just like, I would say we can do a different event and talk about that, because that's a little bit more complicated and complex. But I think just knowing where to go find the buffs that you're not really thinking about day to day, because they take a while to gather, those are the areas you want to focus on, especially in your Senate. Your Senate is actually really important. So anytime you can go in there and find any sort of little buff, that is where you're going to want to go.
Yeah.
Because there's so many areas where you can just get additional buffs.
But I don't know where to prioritize, you know, that's a little hard. I have some of these that I could do. But yeah, you can help me with that another time.
Yeah, I will.
Is
But
there, I just want to see if there's like some questions, if someone has. Okay, so wait, I lost it. How many tier 1 siege do you recommend? I don't recommend so many. Like you some people like to have like a siege wall with a lot of tier 1 siege, but it won't do much unless you have refines for it, and then you were losing refines on your cavalry. So yeah, that's a little bit later problem, I think.
yeah, siege is a different siege. Building a siege defense is more for, I would say, once you start kind of getting to like K39, K40.
Oh, I would say even
'Cause,
later.
well, I'm just saying if you're getting eager, you
Yeah.
can probably start building a little bit more siege.
Hmm.
K39, but still not a lot. But K40, you can start to kind of build it up. But really, it's like K42, K43 where you could really switch to a siege defense.
Yeah. What do I think about Lautaro?
We love him.
I
Not
don't even
really.
know. I didn't even know that what it does. Wait, it's a
I think
wall.
he's a ground general, defense general.
Where is he? Is he here?
There he is.
Ground mounted attack, ground defense, and HP. I mean, he was probably really good when he came out.
But definitely no longer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count him in, but I mean, he's worked for Orochi for now.
Yeah,
So we'll accept it.
don't change until you can get something better, and that's probably gonna take some effort. But
Yep.
I mean, he's probably still really difficult to get, and he's not really that great. I
Nope.
mean, he's fine, but you know, not the best. The free options are better if you can ascend them. You know.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Any other questions, or we'll have to set up another event where we deep dive Blazons
Yeah.
and more Senate, because you could sit in the Senate for
Yeah.
like 10 years.
And I mean, we didn't even talk about these now. Military tactics. We got this new thing.
Yeah,
And we got the cards. You know.
yeah. Oh, I know. I was thinking about all of this, but I was like, there's so much in your attacking.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but we can do a separate event for that, just
Yeah.
to talk to those. I think the
We can
best was
see.
just making sure that we got through defense, because that's been a hot topic.
Yeah. We can see what we need. But for now,
Yeah.
we just want our people to get server war wings. That's like the first step, and then you can start working on for battlefield. You know.
Yep.
Because
100%.
we need people for throne as well, because we don't have anyone that needs throne.
Orochi's protecting you.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everyone,
Yeah,
and
thank
thanks
you for
Dochan for
coming.
putting this together.
This was so fun. I love to
It
do this.
was.
Oh yeah, I have some ideas or like some what's it called, recommendations for if you want to find more information. Like, and this is stuff that I use all of it. Evony Wiki, like, you know, for looking at general comparisons and stuff like that, and what gear to get. Terraria games, you have like a lot of information about the different events. And on YouTube, these are my favorite YouTubers. They're all good in their different ways. But yeah, of course, like always, you can always ask. Yeah, on Discord is the best place to ask questions, at least to me. That's where I can talk the most when I can.
Me too.
Great. Okay. Thank you for joining, and we will see you in game.
For Blazons.
Yeah. Oh, I need that. Okay. I will stop recording now. Bye bye.
Bye.